What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Happy Friday. Hope everybody has an excellent weekend. Enjoy Championship Sunday. I think I'm going to go with the Bengals and the Eagles, which would be a fun Super Bowl. But things are going to get really interesting now with the New York Jets as the organization as a whole has openly said they want to get a veteran quarterback. You have Woody Johnson saying he's willing to spend big. Robert Saleh in his press conference says the team is looking for a veteran quarterback. So it's no secret now what the team wants to do. Zach Wilson, while they may want to mentor him and guide him through this year, he's not going to be considered as a week one starter. So what happens now? And what makes things interesting for me is the role Woody Johnson is going to play. Over the last couple of years, Woody Johnson has changed the hierarchy where the football guys are making football decisions, and there's a process where Saleh reports to Douglas, Douglas reports to him, which is great. But now Woody Johnson also loves headlines, he loves money, he loves ticket sales, and he also wants to win. So at what point does he start putting a little more pressure on Joe Douglas to make a splash move to get his team back in a positive light? You know, like I actually spoke to a ticket agent a couple days ago, a very nice woman from the Jets, talking about, and she tried to present me all the options for the Jets, and I was like, come on, man. I'm like, you don't have a quarterback. Like, don't sell me all these things. I love Sauce Gardner. I love Garrett Wilson. For me to buy season tickets right now, you're crazy. And no offense, people that already have them, but I'm saying in terms of trying to sell this team right now, it's very difficult. And Woody Johnson knows that. So does he actually say, you know what, I want Aaron Rodgers at all costs? Does he tell Joe Douglas, listen, I understand what your plan is. I understand you may want to make a play for Derek Carr, or you may want to see what happens to Lamar Jackson. I want Aaron Rodgers to get it done. Does Woody Johnson pull that kind of move? Because there was already some rumblings that Woody Johnson kind of had a hand in Robert Saleh getting rid of Mike LaFleur. Is that true? We don't know. But I do know in past, Woody Johnson can be kind of metal sometimes. And I'm fascinated to see how the Jets as an organization handle it. Does, Joe Douglas stand his ground, say, listen, you know what, I think right now, for example, Derek Carr is better for our long-term success, for our cap space, for our draft picks, for our program. Is there going to be those kind of conversations, or does he say, okay, you know what, you're the boss? And to clarify, Woody Johnson, as the owner of the Jets, he has this power. I mean, we all have jobs, man, and there's times where the boss comes in and says, do this, and you're like, man, I really don't want to do it, but you know what, I don't want to lose my job, or, I don't agree, but this is what I had to do. Sometimes you got to be the good soldier, you know what I mean? And this could happen with the Jets where, say the Packers' asking price is some ridiculous amount. 3 first-rounders, a second-rounder, and Quinnen Williams. And Joe Douglas is like, I don't want to do it. And then Woody Johnson gets a little nervous and says, listen, you know what? We may lose the trade. Make the trade. Is that going to happen? So that, to me, is something to keep an eye on. And again, I know people are saying, are you being are you being negative or skeptical? With the Jets, you never know, especially when they're desperate. This is a desperate organization right now. Woody Johnson just watched the Giants go to playoffs and win a game. He wants to have his team back in a positive light. He wants positive headlines. He wants to get the proper respect for his organization, which comes from winning. So keep an eye on this, man. I'm really curious to see how this plays out. And the timeline for this, if Aaron Rodgers slow plays this and says, you know what, I'm going to wait a month to decide if I want to play or not, a lot can happen in a month once free agency starts. A lot of the Jets candidates can start coming off the table in terms of a quarterback. And then what do you do? And that's got to be something that you have to keep in the back of your mind where it's like, all right, we're all in on Aaron Rodgers, but first he has to decide if he wants to play. Then you got to decide if Green Bay wants to actually trade him. Then you got to agree on the compensation. So while that's all happening, you could lose your Derek Carr. You could lose your Jimmy Garoppolo. You could lose these guys, and then you're stuck with what? It's going to be either Aaron Rodgers or bust. And that bust could be bringing in guys like Baker Mayfield and Brissett and Minshew, and that's not ideal. And that kind of makes you a little bit nervous about this offensive coordinator hire too. So stay tuned. It's going to be interesting, but keep everything in mind when it comes to New York Jets because you never know what to expect from this team.